Tom.
Nice to see you again, Sharyn.
Nice to see you. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate you coming.
Happy to be able to help. Great.
Yeah, really appreciate you coming and helping us and giving us some tips on your fundraising efforts.
Happy to.
So I just thought I'd start off by saying that you've been a regular participant of the Ride for Relief since the first ride in 2018. What made you start, take on the first ride?
This particular field of endeavour is kind of important to me. About 10 years ago I happened to have a luncheon with the current Australian of the Year, who happened to be an Irishman, and he's from the same part of Ireland that I'm from. His name is Patrick McGorry, and he's an advocate for mental health, particularly in youth. And he won Australian of the Year because he managed to raise a whole heap of funds for mental health issues, and he's sort of been a bit of an inspiration to me. And ever since then I've had an interest in this field. For example, I've done a 14-day cycle around Ireland, which was called Cycle Against Suicide. I've done 2 events in Melbourne through the Jesuit Social Services. One was for support after suicide, and a similar thing like that. So when I heard a Ride for Relief was going to be to help out people with mental issues, I thought that's perfect for me. And the fact that it's been organised by my friends, and my friends are participating, it was a no-brainer for me to just take part and continue to take part for as long as I'm able to do so.
Mentastic. So, had you heard of Mentis Assist is a charity beneficiary of the ride? Had you heard about Mentis Assist before?
No, I haven't heard about Mentis Assist, but it seems that it's a very worthwhile organisation from what I've read and the feedback I've got from Sharyn. And the most important thing that I like about it is that it's actually down to earth, on the street, directly helping the people, and the money that we raise is not going to some administration waste. It's all real, and I think that's good. And there's a lot of organisations in the same field. Like last week, for example, I attended a function which was in aid of Conversations in the Dark, which was to assist people with depression as well. And I think that's just particular to me. If I want to contribute to stuff, it seems to be what I like to contribute my efforts to. So that's why I'm happy to be part of it, even though I didn't hear about Mentis Assist before.
Fantastic.
But,
we're a local mental health provider,
yeah,
so
exactly.
which
That's
is
the other
great
thing. It's local too,
Yeah.
so you can feel that the work that we're doing and the funds we're raising, it could be going to your neighbour or your friend down the street or their kid or whatever. So it's kind of important that it's nice and local.
Well, that's right, and so many people know somebody who's been impacted or affected by mental health in some way. So it's great to keep it local. So you've been returning each year. What's made you want to return to the ride each year?
Well, it's pretty much what I said before. It's a no-brainer for me. It's my friends are engaged in it. I'm Yuki and Charles. The first year, Charles spoke very well about his poor brother who passed because of suicide, and they get it, I reckon.
So each year, your fundraising efforts have just been absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
And last year in particular was a really tough year for a lot of people, particularly Victorians through COVID.
Yeah.
And yet you still managed to achieve over $6,000 in fundraising. What did you do? How did you achieve that?
Nothing different really from previous years, except maybe I just worked a bit harder and got a bit more focused.
Did you find that people were a little bit less hesitant to?
I really didn't notice any difference, and I think that like in my case, I'm probably one of the oldest riders that partake. So at 64, I guess my circle of friends might have a bit more money to dispose of than people in their 20s. So I can probably be a bit more brave about asking them for money. Plus, they might perhaps give a slightly larger amount than somebody in their 20s or 30s. But anyway, the underlying issue is that humans actually love to donate, and I think it's very important that us riders and fundraisers realise that there's no need to be shy when you're asking for a donation for something of this nature, because you can actually hold your head up high and be proud to ask, and you can be guaranteed that 90% of humans will actually be pleased to give, and they want to feel good about it too. So one point I'd like to make to all the riders is don't be shy, and make sure you're actually giving people an opportunity to feel good about themselves, and in turn you'll feel good about yourself, and ideally by raising these funds, some of the people with mental health issues will feel good about themselves.
Absolutely. And do you find that you tap into the same people each year, or do you have a certain types of people? Like, is it family that you tap into, or is it colleagues? Is it friends?
pretty much from about a month before the event, I tap into every human I see, just about. I actually print out little leaflets and stuff that I have to hand. For example, if I'm even in a bar or something where I meet sort of 10, 20 people again, and some that I haven't even met before, I'll have a little leaflet in my pocket that I can give them with the attachment to it to make sure that there's no barrier to them donating. And then any other kind of sort of function that's going on. For example, my wife Mary attends her golf club every Tuesday, and I actually printed out a little leaflet that she could hand out to all the ladies in her golf club to actually get them to donate. Within my golf club, I'm part of a WhatsApp group of 30 people, and those guys for 2 years in a row have given me $20 a head. Well, it doesn't seem much, $20 a head, but it's actually $600 donation. So with doing stuff like that, it doesn't really take long to mount it up. The other thing is always have a message in your phone that you can send to anybody you meet on the cuff at any given time with the attachment to the donation page, so they don't have to try and type in that long-winded screed, especially if they're old like me, and they can just have it on their phone and click on it and they're already in a position to donate. So it's about making it easier for people as well,
Do you find any particular medium of approaching people is more effective than others? Is it handing out your flyers to people, or is it sending the link from the grassroots fundraising page, or texting people or emailing? Is there anything that you find that's been more successful than others?
I think probably Facebook posts are a waste of time. Most people don't look at them anymore. I think the most successful method for me is actually text messaging people. I just go through my phone list and pick the people I think are likely to donate. Some people I might not have seen for a while, but I've got a fairly wide circle of friends, so that sort of helps a bit too. So the personal touch is what's needed. If you try and throw a blanket across all your mates by putting something on Facebook, you're pretty much wasting your time. So
send individual messages to people.
Absolutely, with the attachment,
Facebook.
And it's got to the stage now with, like, I have a list here of everybody that donated to me last year and how much they donated. So I can refer to this for this year and go back to the exact same people. I'll go back to these people again, and it's got to the stage now where they kind of expect me to go back to them.
Yeah.
And even probably be disappointed if I didn't. So that's the detail to which I do it. And it was interesting, I kept a tally of how much money I collected from my golf club friends and how much money I collected from my cycling friends, and then how much I collected from others. So I can refer back to that and try and ideally beat it this year, but it's going to be tough. Last year was particularly good. Maybe people were more generous because of COVID, maybe, I don't know, but anyway.
So a lot of people find it really hard to reach out to people for financial assistance for this sort of thing. So your advice to people is don't hesitate to actually do it. Reach out, and you'll be surprised at how much people are giving.
I was having to think about this earlier today, and that I used to work in sales, selling houses in display homes on weekends, and we used to have this philosophy that if you spoke to 100 people and you got one person to buy a house for you, that was actually a pretty reasonable result. So you really have to break down your own barrier, if you have a barrier, to actually speak to these people, and don't be afraid, and just go for it. Like, nobody's going to bite your head off for asking for $50. And don't ask for 20, ask for 50.
And what about businesses compared to the individual? Do you think that it's worthwhile, or have you had much success in approaching businesses as for larger sponsorships or donations rather than the individual?
So far, I've really worked on the individual because I was in a bit of a career break work-wise, so I wasn't really interacting with many businesses. So perhaps this year I might be back in business again, and I might actually approach more businesses, but really I probably had one business donation in all that money. It was all personal stuff.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, I mean, if bottom line is, wherever you think you can collect money, if it's from businesses or individuals, just go for it.
Yeah. And what about, what do you think about having a group fundraising event? Perhaps, all the participants are getting together and having like a dinner or something with as a silent auction to raise monies collectively.
Well,
What do you think of that?
I haven't done that, but I do think it's a good idea. I've got a bit of a plan in mind for such an event in Mornington, but I have to kind of put it together. I think, you've got to kind of be careful not to cross over with doing the same thing for people, twice. But anyway, we'll have a think about that. But I think it's a good idea, but not necessarily with the participants of the ride itself. If you want to organise something, you should organise it sort of outside of that circle, so you're actually bringing people in that otherwise would not be donating.
Yeah. Okay, that's good advice. So you'll be signing up again for this year?
Absolutely.
Okay, and do you think you'll be doing the 1 day, or do you think you'll tackle the 6 day?
I'll probably be too busy to do the 6 day.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that the amount of money I will fundraise will change whether I do 1 day or 6
No,
days.
yeah.
It'll be the same process, same people.
Yeah. Well, you've been fantastic in the past year, so good luck with that. So are there any other tips or hints, anything else that you'd like to share with participants to help them on their fundraising journey?
Just trying to see if there's any points that I made. Oh yeah, there's a very important thing that I do, and that is every single person that donates to me gets a personal message from me of thanks. And I think that strikes a chord when you go back next year.
So the main message I'm getting from you is to make it personal.
Yeah, I think
An
so.
individual, don't do it as a group thing, make them feel special
Yeah,
by their donation, and always say, send a thank you.
I think that's a fair good summary of
Yeah.
how I operate.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. And is there anything else you'd like to share about your experience with the Ride for Relief in the past years?
No, I think it's very well run. It's great to be able to finish off at the Hot Springs, and I think the Hot Springs and Yuki and Charles are doing a wonderful job actually even organising the event. That's about it.
Okay, well thank you so much for your time, Tom.
Good on you,
Much
Sharyn.
appreciated, and we'll see you on
too,
the...
Sharyn. Sharyn does a wonderful job, and I guess the other point about this situation is that I feel for the people that are working in Sharyn's organisation, trying to help these people, and sometimes it would be a thankless, task. And I figure anything we can do to make their job easier, to give them funding to be able to have more effect, I think that's great too. So that's why we're here.
Well, every positive that we have with our clients makes the journey worthwhile, so thank you so much. Much
Thanks, Sharyn.
appreciated. Thank
Thanks,
you.
folks.